Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. My name is TJ Jackson, and with me is my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
What's up, TJ?
How are you, big bro?
Good. Doing well.
Nice. We are live, of course, on Facebook and YouTube, but you also may be listening to us via a podcast. That is right. We are on all the major podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I don't know anymore, but all the major podcasts, you can find the Power of Love show. And if you do listen to us via the podcast, I'd love to encourage you to leave us a positive review, especially if you're getting something out of the show. But leave a review. That way, those who may be looking for our type of content could find it and can share it with others who may be needing the help. Yeah. One thing I would like to say is that we are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it, and we've learned from it. And we'd like to share our opinions in an attempt to help you get through whatever it is you may be going through. Saying that, if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it. Please, please, please do not just rely on us. One thing I do want to say also, if you enjoy listening to the Power of Love show, we at the D.D. Jackson Foundation would like to invite you to donate to our organization to help provide music therapy classes to grieving children. And you can donate here via Super Chats, but also on Facebook or on our website, which is www.ddjf.org. Again, that's the letters ddjf.org. Taj.
Yes.
Anything I miss or anything? No, right?
No,
Got it all. Okay. Well, I guess the next thing, Taj, is to see how you've been. What you've been up to. You good?
Yeah. I mean, I apologize last week. I think it was last week that I had to leave early. There was a car key mishap, and I bragged about the car being able to start remotely, but it couldn't drive remotely. So we did end up having to get the keys to
wait a second. The car could be started from afar.
I think it's just so that, like, if you're running on, like, so you can start the car in cold weather or whatever ahead of time
before you go in.
It won't drive. And that I assume that being able to start it, you can unlock the doors too, but you can't drive. But once you press that gas, that's when it won't go. So learn the hard way. But yeah. Okay. So I apologize for leaving early on last.
Well, I don't think you need to apologize. I don't even think anyone even noticed. No.
I knew you're gonna. As I was saying it, I'm like, he's gonna say something like that.
I have to, man. It's a lot of fun. You're my big bro, so of course I'm gonna do that.
And I got to see Pops this week, so that was good.
Cool. You got to see Papa T, huh?
Really quickly. He was in and out. He's back in Vegas, but got to see him, so that was great. And that way, very cool. Got to see him as well.
Speaking about Pops, I'm wearing the Papa T shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Love one another. Love the shirt. It's a very comfy shirt, and it's just a cool message. It's my father's song called Love One Another. It's a really great song. If you haven't heard it, Stevie Wonder is playing the harmonica in it. So check it out.
Papa T. Uncle Marlon sings some leads on it too.
And Uncle Marlon singing it. So there you go. Tito Jackson, Love One Another. Beautiful message and a beautiful song. Yeah. As for my week, Taj, it's been another week. I'm doing my transformation. I've been struggling with it.
Oh, have you?
A bit. I haven't been as disciplined as I would have liked to be eating wise. Active wise, I've been great.
Oh, good.
I'm staying active. I'm doing my yoga. I'm loving it. And it's going to be part of, at least I'm committing myself to all of 2023 to make sure I'm doing 4 to 5 days of yoga. I'm really trying to transform a lot of who I am. So, and so far it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. So that's it on my front. Nothing else exciting going on. Yeah. But Taj, if you're cool with it, let's get into our show because we have a really cool guest.
I'm definitely cool with that. I was just making sure, from the comments that there wasn't anything else we missed, but no.
Now, Taj, we kind of fixed it where now you can select the comment and highlight it, right?
Yeah, I feel I have all this power now.
Okay, yeah. Before, just so everyone knows, Taj couldn't select the comment, but now
I could read them, but I couldn't select them. Yeah,
you could read them, but and then he had to give me times, but not anymore. Now, Taj, if he wants to put up a comment, he can feel free to do so. Anyways, everyone, on today's episode of the Power of Love show, we welcome a special guest. His name is Tony Knight, and Tony is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and Rhino Rescue Leader. Tony is admittedly a bit of an idealist and visionary, striving to impact positive change for our endangered wildlife and our environment. He does so through radical conscious consumerism and mentoring businesses on how small changes in their daily operations can not only save them money, but also help them free up cash flow, which can be allocated towards helping to impact positive change for our animals, our planet, and ultimately us and our future generations. Nice. Tony's career path has been unexpected. He studied supply chain engineering in South Africa and was offered a job with Terex during doing construction machinery engineering in the UK in 2003. He unexpectedly switched careers in 2005, landing himself in the advertising technology space in London for 5 years before being transferred to Toronto, where he eventually started an advertising tech agency in 2010. During these years, he was leading wildlife conservation projects in his spare time and leading tourism and travel initiatives to raise funds for the nonprofit projects, specifically rhino rescue projects that he was helping, which ultimately led him to a shift from the for-profit space to the nonprofit space. Yeah. Tony's journey from for-profit to nonprofit was not without bumps and bruises along the way. It has been a journey of growth, enlightenment, and literal blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. This transition started to accelerate after his first visit to Burning Man back in 2015, where he made a radical life decision to take active steps to transform his for-profit business into platforms to help fundraise for the wildlife and environmental conservation projects he was actively involved with. This came at a pivotal time when rhino poaching attacks were on the rise in South Africa, and having been witness to the brutal suffering and trauma rhinos undergo at the hands of poachers, he knew he needed to fully invest himself and his time into nonprofit projects, specifically geared to protect rhinos from poachers. He blended his many years of experience leading wildlife conservation projects, leading tourism and travel initiatives, and running an advertising tech company together to make his goal of helping to protect vulnerable animals and wildlife a reality. This led him to co-founding the Utmost Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Here today to discuss his work, without much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Power of Love show, Tony Knight. Tony. How are you, man? You are muted, Tony.
Don't worry, we do that all the time.
We go.
Don't worry, that's why we know.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for such a great introduction. It's a pleasure to meet you and to be on your show. I'm a big fan of you guys. Yeah.
Well, we're happy you're on.
Thank you for joining us. It's what first. I have so many questions to ask you. I kind of want to have a fun question first.
Okay.
It's, if that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
Start in South Africa for employment, then London, then Toronto.
Yep.
Is there anything you want to share with us in terms of which one of those you like the most, or any information?
I might get into trouble if I answer that question.
Okay, you know what, Tony? I will take that too.
No, I mean, look, I'm as you can hear, my accent's very mixed. So I've lived all over the world, and I've been very lucky to have worked in different countries. I mean, they've all been great. I love London in the UK. It's such a great city. Mm-hmm. I love Toronto. It's just all of it's been an incredible journey. So, I've enjoyed every second of it.
Now, there's so many beautiful places in the world, and you're so lucky to have been and experienced all those. So that's the first thing. But before making it the main focus of your work, you led wildlife conservation projects in your spare time. My first question is, can you just explain what wildlife conservation projects are, for in case someone doesn't understand what we're even talking about? Briefly, if that's okay.
So, I mean, the many different wildlife conservation projects that exist, and there are lots of nonprofits specifically in South Africa that help all sorts of different wildlife. I'm obviously focused on rhinos, given the urgency surrounding the massive poaching crisis in South Africa at the moment. But I mean, I used to be involved in lion conservation, helping reform prides of lions and have their offspring released back into the wild. And then obviously I've now switched to rhinos. But there's so much out there. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize what's going on, specifically with rhinos. I mean, the act of cruelty at the hands of poachers is horrific. And a lot of people don't realize the suffering and pain these poor animals go through. And part of my job is to prevent these senseless attacks from happening. And that's why I'm at heart an animal advocate. I do not want to see any animals suffer. And there are lots of nonprofits that fundraise and raise money for rescues, where they go in and help rhinos that have been attacked, and they rehabilitate them and they help rehabilitate them from their injuries. I don't want to see money go there. I want to see money go into prevention, because these attacks are horrific. I mean, basically, I'm not going to go into the gory details, but basically when a rhino is attacked for its horn, the poacher will cut the facial tissue away, like basically remove the face of the rhino, like just above its eye, and cut through the face to remove the horn. And then the poacher will run off with the horn, and they will not even shoot the rhino to put it out of its misery, because they don't want to attract attention. So anything that makes a noise like a gun or anything like that, they don't use. So they basically take the horn and leave the rhino to die a miserable, horrific death. And this is our mission, is to stop this from happening.
Yeah. Oh, horrible.
Wow. I'm still like incredibly curious, because you're very passionate about it, which is commendable and amazing. Why are you, I don't want to sound mean or anything, because I completely support what you do, but why so passionate? I love it.
Well, I mean, as I said, I'm an animal advocate at heart, and that's mainly because of my mom and dad. Since I was a little kid, my mom and my dad are incredible. I mean, they just are the strongest animal advocates I've ever met in my life, and they are my parents. So I had that in me from a young age. And
did you have pets, Tony, when you were young?
Yes,
as well?
yeah, of course, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I actually have a. You want to see my American bully? Hey, hang on 1 second. Let me just take
of
this
course.
off. Give me 1 sec. 1 sec. Hang on. Kelvin, come here.
I love it.
Oh, this is Kelvin.
Oh my goodness.
Kelvin. Yeah.
This is
Tony,
Kelvin.
Yeah.
How much does Kelvin weigh?
He's like 130. 130 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, so
how
cool.
cute.
That's awesome.
I'm going to put him down.
Yes, go ahead, Tony. You put him down. I think that you're an animal lover, and I'm an animal lover too.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what you do, because you take it to the next level, and you see the life in animals, and I think that's a beautiful thing. What initially drew you to this type of work? What does a conversation mission entail exactly? Two questions.
Okay, so I mean, I've always been involved in conservation when I was a kid, and I could never. I mean, if I had the choice, I would have studied it, and I would have actually made it my profession. But my dad, as a businessman, he steered me away from that idea, and I'm glad he did, because I wouldn't be in the position I am now to financially help and get involved. Like now, I'm 40 years old, or 41. I just turned 41 a few days ago. So I now, luckily, given my career and the success of my career, I've got the flexibility and freedom to do this work, and I can take 6, 7, 8 months a year and go to Africa and be a part of this and support it. If I'd done it the other way around, if I studied conservation, I wouldn't have the means and the time to do this. So I'm very grateful that I ended up taking the journey that I did. And now I just feel I've done well, and it's time to give back. And life is less about serving yourself and more about what you can do to make an impact and serve others. And for me, that took me a long time to realize. I realized that eventually, but I'm so glad I'm in that mindset now, because in my 20s I was a very different person. I was living this very materialistic lifestyle, earning a lot of money, working in the advertising space where, I was going to whining and dining clients at the best restaurants, going to the best events, driving the best cars, living the best lifestyle. And I was miserable and I didn't know why. And it was all because I'd wake up in the morning and it would always be about me. And I wasn't thinking, it was all about how can I serve Tony Knight? And that makes you miserable. And a lot of people don't realize that. If you wake up every morning and all you're doing is thinking about yourself, it's toxic. And I think, I'm so glad that, I came to this realization in, I don't know, it must have been 2015. And then that's when the wheels started turning and I realized what I needed to do and what changes I needed to make in my life. So I'm grateful for where I am at the moment and having that enlightenment.
That's very powerful, Tony. And I appreciate you sharing that with our community, because I think sometimes, especially in the Western civilization, we get lost in that. We start thinking we get on this whole track of career and success, and we lose sense of what really matters. As Caitlin says, it's less about serving yourself and more about serving others. That's your quote, Tony. Love that. That's what life is all about. I am also curious to know, Tony, was there a specific moment or a specific experience that changed that focus for you from a for-profit career to a not-for-profit or nonprofit organization? And then also, I don't know if this is the answer, but what was the experience at Burning Man in 2005 that changed the trajectory of your work and ultimately your life?
Yeah, so it was Burning Man for sure. It was always at the back of my mind, but I never really had the push or the motivation to take the steps I needed to take onto the journey I'm on now. But Burning Man for sure, 100% was the catalyst to my journey now. And I don't know who's listening that's ever been to Burning Man. It's very difficult to explain Burning Man. And I, for one, it didn't appeal to me, the whole Burning Man concept, because I'd never been. And I just thought it was a crazy party in the desert for hippies that want to go and smoke weed all day. And that, for me, especially with my background, I used to be a professional athlete, and all that was just not my scene. So I just couldn't see myself fitting into this whole Burning Man culture. But anyway, I went to Burning Man. A friend of mine convinced me to go after 8 years of phoning me, and he was like, 8 years. He persevered to try to get me to go. And on year 8, which was 2015, he was like, I've got everything organized. Jump on a flight and come. If you don't like it after day 2, leave. So I said, fair enough. I'll give it a go. You can't mock anything until you've tried it.
Yeah.
So I went, and as soon as I walked through the gates of Burning Man, I knew what he was talking about. It's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't been, and anyone listening that has been will understand what I'm saying. But I walked in and I just felt this vibration. It's like a energy with this abundant love. You just feel this abundant love and happiness, and everyone's there because they're there because they want to connect with other human beings on less of a superficial level. It's more about connecting with humans in a space that is very neutral. Like there's no branding, there's no advertising, there's no money exchange, there's no news, there's no negativity. It's the most positive place in the world that you can be. And I had the most profound conversations with the most random people when I was during my week at the Burn. And it gave me the answers to questions I had that I was looking for, and I had no idea how to find these answers. And they all came through at Burning Man. And that gave me the motivation to come out. I literally, the week after getting back from Burning Man, I started taking actions to make these changes to get me onto the journey. So it was amazing.
I was always under the impression that Burning Man was a music festival. Is it not? Is it more than that?
So much more than that. I mean, that's what I thought. I thought it was just a crazy party in the desert. Yeah. I mean, you can make whatever you want. Your journey can be whatever you want at Burning Man. Think of Burning Man like a city, like New York City. Think of yourself in New York City. You can do whatever you want in New York City. You can go to a TED talk and go listen to a motivational speaker. You can go to a club and drink and get drunk. You can go drink a gourmet coffee and a fancy coffee. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. But same with Burning Man. I mean, my journey is very much, I go because I want to evolve as a human being and I want to learn. So my intention is to do that. And I go to all the different events, they're motivational talks. I love music as well. So I'm also go watch incredible DJs playing because I'm a big fan of EDM music and all types of music. So that's also part of what I enjoy. But you make Burning Man is your journey. Everyone has a unique journey. So
and just last Burning Man question. It's an annual event, and is it always in Vegas or not Vegas, but Nevada desert?
Nevada, Reno. So it's 2 hours from Reno, Black Rock. Yeah.
Very
in the
cool.
Nevada desert.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. I think that's really cool. But you had no idea that event would change your life.
Had no idea. And people talk about this and they say it will change you. And I just thought it was absolute rubbish. And I came out of it and I just had almost like my mindset was changed. It makes you realize what's important in life.
Yeah.
So and I know this is another side question. I said we wouldn't do another question on Burning Man, but you got me so fascinated. Who should go to Burning Man? Someone who's kind of lost in life or doesn't know what they want out of life? Would you suggest that person maybe take an experience at Burning Man?
I would say so. I think everyone should do it at least once. And I think if you feel like you're stuck and you just need to do something, I mean, I'm a firm believer that you meet people for a reason and the universe will give you answers through other people. So by going to this space where everyone is not distracted by their phones, by social media. They're not looking at their watch to go to a meeting. They fully present in the moment. And you start having conversations with these people that are fully present with you. It's amazing how much you learn and how much you can evolve together collectively as human beings. So I urge everyone to do it. You'll get answers. You'll just get answers to things that you need answers for. And it's hard to explain, but it's profound. The impact it had on me personally. It has a profound impact on a lot of people. Some people it does nothing for them, but for me, it definitely it was a huge catalyst in my life too. Yeah,
that's cool. And yes, Miss Silent Siren, I can see TJ's considering going. Yeah, you could see right. I had no idea. Todd, did you have a question? Because I do have a follow-up question.
No, I saw that comment too, and I was like, I was wondering if I highlight it because I know my brother very well.
Yeah,
the follow-up questions were very much like.
I have a feeling I'll be seeing you at Burning Man this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. But anyways, you made the switch again from for-profit to non-profit. That career switch. I'm curious to know. Would you say you are a happier person? Are you more fulfilled in life?
Oh, definitely. I never knew how this would feel. And I think just making this transition where I wake up in the morning and I'm not thinking about myself and how to serve myself, but I have a bigger responsibility and something more important to serve. I've never been more motivated in my life. I mean, I get up at 3:00 in the morning sometimes because I have to work on the South African time zone and they're 7 hours ahead. So I'm typically in South Africa for most of the year, but I'm in Canada now for the next month. But while I'm here, I'm having to get up at sometimes 3 a.m. to be on conference calls with our team in South Africa to make decisions about various Rhino rescue operations that need to be done and whatnots. But I'm so motivated to get up and do this work because it's important work and it's not about me. And I think when people can have a taste of that and understand what that feels like to feel what it's like to serve or be of service, because a lot of us aren't used to that. We've never had a taste of that because we're so focused on our jobs, our lives. Mm-hmm. But when you give yourself a taste of that, it's amazing what it can do for you. And it can benefit you too, like from a mental health perspective. So I would urge anyone, no matter what your position, especially if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur or you own a business or you run a business, I feel it's your responsibility to have some element of your business give back or support a cause, whatever that cause may be. And I think if everyone does that, we will make a significant change in the world. And that's really what I want people to do.
Well said, Tony. By the way, Sarah says, Tony, have you ever thought of doing a podcast or a guided meditation video? Your voice is soothing and calming. In my opinion, you sound like a storytelling voiceover.
Thank you, Sarah.
That's a compliment. I
Wow.
mean, Sarah's seen many of our shows, and she's never asked me that question.
Really, Sarah thinks my South African accent is soothing. Wow, I've never heard that before. But thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. I would do it. I mean, people have actually strangely said that to me before, and I've just never really paid attention to it. But yes, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, why not? I would do it.
I think it's awesome. Okay, Tyler, I'm not cutting you off, right?
No, I mean, anything
All right,
like those kind of things, just reaching more people is always, great in that way. Doing a podcast or a guided meditation video, you don't know who you can reach in that way.
Okay, so Tony, switching gears a bit, not too much, but when we think of grief and loss, we generally think of the loss of a loved one, but grief comes in many forms, and the loss of our wildlife and natural resources and the general state of our world can cause grief. Have you found this to be true for yourself? If so, how has doing the work and making a positive impact helped aid in any of that grief?
Yeah. So, like you say, grief takes on many different forms where, the first thing people think about is losing a loved one. But grief can be any form of mental health issue. It can be depression, it can be, whatever. But for me, I've suffered forms of grief just from seeing what happens in our world on an everyday basis, seeing the news and seeing all the horrible things that are going on in our world. It causes a natural, for me anyway, and maybe I might be a little bit too sensitive, but it causes me just a sense of grief and despair about where our world is going. And I feel this work I'm doing, to answer your question now, with animals, I feel animals, specifically rhinos and elephants as well, they have this very connected spiritual element to them that's hard to explain. I feel there's something very, very spiritual about rhinos, and to a point where they are very connected to human beings if you are aware of how they can connect with you. So, for example, there was a little baby rhino that I helped after he was attacked. He was attacked by poachers. His mother was killed by poachers, and the poachers basically cut his hamstrings and severed his spine with a panga. A panga, I don't know if you know what a panga is, but it's like a grass cutter, basically. It's like a grass cutter. In South Africa, we call them pangas. But anyway, a poacher severed the spine of this baby rhino because he was trying to save his mother from these poachers. So I basically helped this rhino and visited it often at the orphanage. And it kind of knew when I was coming and going. So even before I got to the orphanage, it would start crying and getting excitable when I was like maybe 50 kilometers away. So there was a sense, there's some sort of like a energetic connection between animals and us humans. So for me, that was very therapeutic. I find working with animals, for me, it's very emotional. And when I do these operations, I'm very emotionally connected to what I'm doing. And having seen these poaching attacks and seen what happens to them, I'm a little bit more sensitive to it. I think anyone who's actually, and I don't want anyone to see this because it's horrific, these images, but once you've been exposed to that, you are just naturally more connected to these animals and to this work. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely animals, I think in general, whether even your dog at home, I mean, these animals are put on earth for us humans. We are messed up. Human beings are messed up, and animals are not. Like, they are pure. I look at an animal, I look at a dog, they love you unconditionally. Even if you abuse it, even if you beat, like you see abusers of dogs, they will still come back to the abuser and wag their tail and try to jump on them and lick them. And so, I mean, we have a lot to learn from animals. And I think animals have been put on earth to help us humans sort our shit out, basically.
Tony, what advice, you said it, and I think I completely agree with you. What advice would you give to us, to people, to humans who are in their routine, the regular 9-to-5 routine or whatever routine, to help us take a break and reassess things? Or just what advice would you have for us with all the experience and knowledge and the connection to spirituality through animals and everything you've learned? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so I mean, if with time comes wisdom, and if I'd known the things I know now in my 20s, the changes I would have made is I would have definitely found time in my hectic schedule to, even if it's an hour a week, go work at a dog shelter and maybe help walk the dogs, or even doesn't necessarily have to be animals. If you want to be involved in any humanitarian efforts, go work at a soup kitchen and help the homeless people in your neighborhood. But just do something small, even if it's an hour, like on a weekend. Just do that, and you'll notice what an impact it makes in your own life. And I think if you can start doing these small things now, eventually you'll become a much happier version of yourself. And that's what I found. I'm super happy. I'm much happier than I ever was in my 20s when I was living a crazy life. I mean, I was traveling around the world. I was going to all these crazy events and, living the best life I could ever have imagined. But it was all materialistic and it meant nothing. And now, I can still do the things I love doing, but my life has more purpose and more substance and more meaning. And I think people should try to do that.
I think that's great. That's fantastic, man. And I could support that 100%. I feel like life has gotten better for myself since we've been doing our DDJF show and giving back. And there's something about giving back and helping others that brings a whole nother value to your life that supplants and overcomes what we've conditioned ourselves to think is success. And I thank you for saying that in your way, because you said it a lot better. But anyways, how can people reach you, Tony, and to learn more about your work and to make a donation or go on a rescue mission with you? That's cool. Tell us how we can meet up with Tony or connect with you.
Yeah, so I'm leading Rhino rescues throughout the year in South Africa. It is limited. We allow tourists or foreigners to come in and be a part of this work that we do. There are limits as to how many people we can bring on. But if you do want to get involved, you could join as a paid volunteer. Basically, you could come down and pay to cover the cost of the operation. And you'll join myself and my team, the rest of our team that helps rhinos in the wild, and you will literally get hands-on with rhinos in the wild. So you'll help with sampling, hair sampling, and ear notching the rhinos, and doing all the conservation work that we do with them. And if you can't travel all the way to South Africa and you want to maybe help remotely, you can also donate. You can always go to our Instagram page, which is at URhino Project. That's the letter U and then Rhino Project. And there's a link there with more information. And you can also, even if you can't donate, if you don't have the means to donate, you can also help by sharing information, like any stories or any content that is posted about this work. Simply share it with your networks and tell people about what's going on and how horrible, these rhinos are going through hell in Africa with these poaching attacks. So I think we just need to try shine as much light on this as possible. And yeah, that's really what you can do to get involved.
Sarah says, oh, wow, volunteer experience opportunities. Thanks. Been to Kenya, but not South Africa. Sounds amazing. A couple other comments I'd love to share, and this is from a comment that you made earlier. Working at a shelter was the best time of my Saturday years ago. That's from Lana. And
Good
Carol
job, Lana.
says, I give to other people and it makes me happy. Lana also says, you're a blessing. The world needs more of you. Animals are authentic. Is that 1,000,000%?
It is 1,000,000.
Well,
Wow.
that's 1,000,000. Okay, 1,000,000, not 100%, not 1,000, but 1,000,000%, and have saved my life for sure.
I agree.
Completely agree with that. And then one other thing I want to make sure we highlight is the Instagram, which you were talking about, at URhino Project. That's URhino Project. Can I give out your email too, Tony?
Sure. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
That's email at Tony J. Knight. That is KNIGHT at iCloud.com. If you have any questions about the project. And then the other thing I want to make sure is to let people know to donate at PayPal. That is going to be a link in our show notes. Whether you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, or from a podcast, you'll see the link to donate to the URhino Project on our show notes.
Nice.
Tony, did I miss anything else? Because I want to make sure we got all the important stuff regarding what you're doing.
No, I think everything is covered off. It
Okay.
was yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Denise says she loves your IG account. So let's also make sure to check an IG account. Andrew says, couple minutes in, and this is one of your best guests already. There you go. And then
Thanks, Andrew.
that's awesome. And then Bobby has a super chat that says, as someone who adores animals, especially dog, this is one of my favorite guests. Thank you for helping these beautiful animals. Kind of wanted as a pet. I've been to Croatia and
Pretoria.
CT.
Pretoria.
Now
Thank God I
Tony's
didn't
gonna,
say
yeah.
it.
Tony. Okay, Tony. Okay. And CT, and I love what's CT, Tony?
Cape Town.
You know?
Cape
Okay.
Town. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys are going to have to come to South Africa. Come on.
Yeah, now we know. Now we have a
Come
reason to
on.
go. Yeah,
Well,
Jeez.
I
always wanted to.
I will say this: our uncle always encouraged us to go and said it was an amazing place. So it's something that we will do at some point. It has to be done.
It has to be done. Yeah.
Tony, anything else? Well, anything else? No, I've already asked it. Let's do this, Tony. We, as I prepared you or explained before we started, we like to give our guest minute, 2 minutes, whatever time you want with your silky voice, Tony, to share something with our community. It could be something as simple as a favorite dance step, your favorite TV show. It could be your favorite poem. It could be anything you want to share with our community. It could obviously be more of a serious topic. It could be what you're into. Whatever you want to share with our community. Off topic, on topic, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Geez, guys, when you said favorite dance step, I mean, I've got 2 left feet. I'll be honest. I've got 2 left feet, but I've been told by some people my 2 left feet sometimes have good moves. But I'm not going to show you any of my moves. You'll have to come to South Africa and watch me perform live. I'll perform live. But no, just just to end off, I think. Not to be too serious, but I think for me, there were things that I wanted to do in my life when I was younger that I felt were out of reach. So what I would say is nothing's impossible. Anything is possible. If you have a dream, do it. Like, make sure that you dedicate time and don't just put that dream on the sideline. Like, actually once a week, twice a week, take actions to put wheels in motion that are going to make that dream happen. Because I see so many people that just don't believe themselves, they don't have confidence. And I promise you, we all are made of the same shit. We are. There's nothing special about you. There's nothing special about me. We're all the same. We all have the same capabilities. And it's up to us to just, put the wheels in motion. So I would urge anyone to do that. And even more important is, if you are going to do something and you're going to like start a business, let's say, or you have a dream to start your own business, I would urge you to really think about like how you can integrate something into your business that gives back. Because I promise you, it will make you feel much more motivated about getting up in the morning to do this work that you're doing, because it's an element that isn't just about you. And it's going to help make an impact in the world. And I think if everyone takes that approach, collectively we'll make a difference. If 1 or 2 people do this, it's really not going to make a difference. So we need everyone to start changing their mindset and to really think about how they can do this and how they can start impacting change. And that's kind of the takeaway. And this is what I do in my business mentoring, because a lot of people reach out to me to ask advice on how to start a business and how to go about it. And I've got lots of experience in doing that, because I've run different businesses and I've gone through all the aches and pains, and I've made lots of mistakes, and I try and help people to not make the same mistakes so they can get to the final destination where they want to go faster. And I will help, and I don't charge anything for it. I will help anyone who's an aspiring entrepreneur, as long as they have an element of giving back, and there's something in their business plan that is giving back to whatever charity or whatever mission they want to support. I'm more than happy to volunteer my time to guide them and to help them make their business a success. And that's what I do. And I don't charge for it. But you just have to be in the right mindset, and your core values have to be aligned to what I'm looking for in terms of mentoring someone.
Nice.
I love that.
Great.
Well said, well executed, great. As Adrian says, great advice. And there's a couple other comments I want to highlight. Tiffany, Miss Silent Siren says, Tony is doing the Lord's work completely selfless. Jack Love agrees, says, right, Tiffany. And he has a sexy voice too. Again, I don't think I've ever gotten that. So Tony,
Oh my God, thank you.
I love it.
Thanks.
And then Angel says,
I don't
Tony,
normally blush, but I'm blushing. This is kind of
Angel says, Tony, you are such an inspiration. I love your passion for animals and your love for rhinos. Save the rhinos.
Thank you, Angel.
Great.
There are two large contributions and donations that we need to highlight too. Jennifer says, thank you, Tony. Giving today in celebration of the life of my 21-year-old cousin who lost his battle to depression last week and for my B-Day tomorrow. Love South Africa. Visited in 2012. Incredible experience. Jennifer, thank you so much for that contribution. Greatly appreciated.
And sorry for your loss.
Yeah. And sorry for your loss. Thank you, Tony. And then yours truly, April, says, Tony, you are doing amazing work. Thank you for sharing. Also, this is a memory of Alicia Bradford, who passed away 3 years ago, who was part of the DDJF community. I remember Alicia very well. Also for my cousin Randy, who passed away in a fire on Monday. Thank you so much, April, for the contribution, as well as for bringing awareness to your lovely family who passed away. And of course, Alicia. All right. I think we are good. If I missed, Taj, am I missing anything?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Tony, any last thing that we need to say or show or talk about?
No, but I mean, I guess you guys have got some dance moves if you want to show me some dance moves before you.
Yeah, we'll pass on that one, Tony. But Tony, it was fun, man. You're a great person. I love what you're doing. I commend you. I wish you the best. Anything else you are going on in life, please reach out to us. You have a family with us and the D.D. Jackson Foundation community. So again, we just really support you and commend you for all you are doing.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony.
To everyone who's watching or listening to our show, that is a wrap. We want to thank you guys for always supporting DDJF. And we will see you guys next Wednesday at 1:00. On behalf of my big brother Taj and our entire foundation, thank you guys for joining us. Adios, everyone.